Philippe Coutinho is back in the fold at Anfield, but he's inflicted wounds as deep as the Mersey on his club, and it's not going to be easy to heal them. All summer long, he seemed as determined to get to Barcelona as Frodo was to get to Mordor, and his reassimilation is not going to be an easy affair. The rumours were never new. Even back in January, there were worries and whispers on Merseyside. Barcelona wanted to have him and then they didn't. Coutinho wanted to stay and then he didn't. And then of course when the Neymar millions landed in Catalonia and Barca were left with a hole to fill, the whole thing took on a different character, went off spinning and popping like a Catherine wheel. But let's just calm down a little bit and consider. First up in the pass the parcel of blame for this whole sorry mess is the player himself. Liverpool had always been clear that Coutinho wasn't for sale, but that didn't stop him handing in a tantrum transfer request after Klopp rejected Barca's second bid, despite him knowing that his club wouldn't entertain it. After all, only a year before, in the summer of 2016, Coutinho signed a new 5-year contract without a release clause. Then there was the mysterious back injury, which despite being severe enough to keep Coutinho out of action in the Prem, conveniently cleared itself up when Brazil's World Cup qualifiers got underway. I don't happen to think this is an appropriate way to behave towards the employer that pays you £4 million a year, the teammates who don't know what their job is going to look like next season because they don't know if you're coming or going, or least of all, the fans who watch you week in, week out and live for the club that you're toying around with. After burning all of these bridges, Coutinho is now returning to Melwood to face the music. I've got an idea how to welcome him back. Now, let me be the millionth person to say it. This was the summer in which the deranged beast of the transfer market finally tore off its chains and went 110% nuts. But circumstances don't excuse Barcelona's shameless transfer tactics. To be fair, the non-stop Neymar nightmare meant that Barca didn't have it easy themselves. But it also means that they know the damage that it causes to a club to have a question mark hanging over the future of a star player. That didn't stop them from ignoring everything that Liverpool said and doing all they could to poach Coutinho. In mid-August, Barca general manager Pep Segura, who by the way used to work at Liverpool, said that Barcelona were close to completing deals for Coutinho and Dortmund's Ousmane Dembele. Cue confusion at Liverpool, where officials had never entered negotiations or even agreed to the prospect of having any, and at Dortmund, who at the time were still determined that their man would be staying put. Now that deal eventually went through after disappearing Dembele vanished from Dortmund and Barcelona finally coughed up the asking price. Coutinho, as we know, has ended up staying put. But it's no thanks to the bully boys at Barca who, flush with the Neymar millions, obviously think that they can do entirely as they please and take whomever they want, whether the rest of the world likes it or not. They've left a trail of disagreements and disruption in their wake, and now it's left to poor old Kloppo to pick up the pieces and carry on as if nothing's happened. What a shit show. It wouldn't be fair, however, not to question Liverpool's conduct in all of this. It's all very well digging your heels in when a bigger club comes knocking. It's nice to see a player being defended, and it's even nicer to see an arrogant giant get brought down a peg or two when they don't get what they're after. But if you hold firm even after the player himself has said he wants out, you have to expect a festival of recriminations as soon as the transfer window closes. A family friend of Coutinho's remarked that Liverpool have a habit of refusing to let their players leave on amicable terms, citing the cases of Steven Gerrard and Luis Suarez. And who could disagree? Clinging on to a player who everyone knows wants to leave is a bit like begging a partner who's cheated on you and wants to end it to stay. You might get what you want for a little while, but eventually you're going to realise that things have changed. Liverpool have been able to force their will, but Coutinho is now effectively a hostage at Anfield. Full disclosure, I'm an Aston Villa fan. I remember the pain that Liverpool caused when they kept trying to get their grubby hands on Gareth Barry back in the day. Now, while it was nice that Barry stayed at Villa for a little while longer, after that whole summer, he didn't really feel like our player anymore. Once you go through all of this, it's very difficult to turn back the clock. This whole thing went on for so long that by the end of it, Liverpool seemed to be saying no over and over again just to prove a point. They could have had 119 million quid, but the ferocity with which they'd constantly been saying no ended up trapping them. Now that they're left with a dissatisfied player, an insulted set of fans and a betrayed manager, maybe it's time that Liverpool reconsider their hard-necked transfer policy. That, though, is a consideration for another time. Now, after all that's happened with the transfer window closed, the option of an alternative solution at least temporarily shelved, and the season racing on, Liverpool have got to make the best out of a bad situation. It's truth and reconciliation time. Although the truth isn't really so nice to look at, so probably just focus on the reconciliation. With the Reds struggling to convert chances into goals against Sevilla, Kloppo sent Coutinho into battle, and happily he received a warm reception from the crowd. So there are plenty of fans willing to see the positives. That's because there's a reason that Klopp was so desperate to hold on to him. He needs him. If achievements are to come anywhere close to ambitions at Anfield, Coutinho needs to be there, and he needs to be at his best. It's not going to be easy for the Kopites to hold back the hurt, accept the Brazilian again and move on, but they're not really left with much choice. At the end of the day, this kind of thing is nothing new. It leaves a very sour taste, but unfortunately it's part of the game nowadays. While the players behave like teenagers angling for more pocket money, hankering after transfers like a grounded child who's been told that he can't go to his best mate's sleepover, the fans have no influence and next to no information. Remember when Coutinho's picture was being taken down from the Liverpool club shop and everyone thought they'd found proof he was off? Turned out they were just taking every player's image down because they were changing the display. Now this kind of circus is just part of the madness of the modern game and there's no getting around it. So my solemn, heartfelt and unfortunately obviously also unsolicited advice to Liverpool fans, is chin up. Right, I'm very likely not the only one who's getting slightly tired of listening to me, so soapbox rant over. I ask you, dear viewers, dear Liverpool fans, what do you think? Can the club patch things up with Coutinho? Can you forgive him, or do you not care as long as he continues to deliver on the pitch? Do you think the club was right to dig its heels in and hold on to him, or should they have just saved themselves all the trouble and taken the £119 million? Do make sure to let us know, and see you later.